For the first time in a Dungeons game, we're going into the Deep Dark.
What is that Deep Dark portal doing?
Mojang using the fourth dimension as a marketing tool for Dungeons 2 is, of course, nothing new, but now we have this confirmed piece of copy text that they use to market the game, saying that you will in fact be fighting your way through a new dimension, confirming that it will be playable in Dungeons 2, but they've gone a step further, talking about it in their latest dev diary, where their official answer was,
We cannot tell you where it goes, but you can definitely find clues about it.
which is pretty mysterious till you realise that they've been hinting at this portal forever, and also in this exact same video they said it'd be guarded by the Twisted Warden, and what's even more interesting than that is they also gave us this concept art showing us something we've never seen before, and that looks to be pipes going into the dimension. What does this tell us about the fourth dimension, and what other reveals have we seen about it from Dungeons 2 today? Well, hello, I'm AppyXToyCat, and welcome to Q&A Saturday, and I would like to start by saying there are two types of comments I've seen a lot of this week. The first is people like Major112 saying, is the Ancient City portal really just an ad for Dungeons 2? Is it actually ever going to come to the base game? And the other category of people saying, well, it'd be a bad idea to add it to the base game after adding it to Dungeons, because obviously that would lower the hype and anticipation, and so keep that in mind as we go into what we're about to see, because if you are excited, then you might like the idea that the Dungeons 2 kind of premise has been revealed, and the basic idea is that mobs around the world are being affected by souls. And then they say, what is the biggest mob that is seen affected by souls? Well, it's the Warden, and so imagine if we had a Warden that looked like this. That is the context, but at the exact same time, they kind of spoke about some of the fun features of the game, so playing together is now easier and better than ever. They said you can play couch co-op, online co-op, and even a mixture of the two, and then they showed this screen right here. This corner of the screen is interesting because it shows a way that Dungeons 2 is not just different to Dungeons 1, but also to the base game in that you just unlock enchantments. You can see that both players here got an enchantment as a form of loot. This is separate to the weapon, which is kind of cool, but still, it's just something you kind of have and which you can apply anytime you like. This is one of the big reveals, but if we look at the other one, you can see it on screen here, but I'll let the Dungeons 2 devs explain it.
In Minecraft Dungeons 2, the missions are all put together, so you have one big world that is interconnected, which was something that we really wanted to do, and I think it turned out great.
Honestly, this is incredibly cool, especially when you pair it with
Biggest Minecraft Dungeons world yet.
and also a brand new type of attack they're adding specifically to this game.
Jump attacks are particularly strong, which you'll need against those particularly strong mobs.
Okay, it's coming back to the fourth dimension again. We can't get away from this. Dungeons 2 looks really cool, but I think even they seem to know, based on how much it's coming up, that the one thing everyone wants to know about is this fourth dimension. So if we add in the note block trailer that we've already seen, as well as the Minecraft Live massive Ancient City portal, if we take those two things and combine it with the fact that there is a Twisted Warden that is trying to collect all of the mob's souls, and then we look at this pipe-filled portal, I think it becomes immediately clear that what is happening in the fourth dimension is that there is a mob trying to drain all of the energy and all of the souls from the overworld, and he's doing something with it right there. Critically, every piece of media that they're showing about this is staying deliberately vague, and I imagine that they want to keep it that way until release, but here's the important question: do we need to care what is in the portal? I mean, obviously, on a lore level, you should, but if you're someone who says to themselves, if this doesn't come to Minecraft, I'm a be pissed, I've got some really important news to share with you, and it relates to what we've already seen with Minecraft Dungeons, because the entire idea of that game was that by experimenting in a new genre, they could add a bunch of different features that they weren't really willing to add to base Minecraft yet. Let me give you two easy examples. The first would be new weapons, let's say the mace and the spear, and the second would be an end update. So the first example for the mace and the spear, these came to Minecraft Dungeons, and then it wasn't for years later that they felt comfortable adding it to the base game, and notably, if we look at the Minecraft Dungeons mace and the Minecraft Dungeons spear, they kind of look like their base game components, but they don't actually share everything in common. So that's the first easy example of how Minecraft Dungeons can add something, and then it can come to the base game, but it's not necessarily going to be the same. But then the second example would be Minecraft Dungeons Echoing Void DLC. They knew that everyone wanted an end update, and so they added a really cool one. I mean, look at this guy on the left here. He's such a hench Enderman, but also you can see that they've got all all sorts of fun features that would be great and that people have been desiring in an end update, but crucially, it has now been years and they still haven't done that in the base game. That's because Minecraft is a game where they don't necessarily make promises that everything in the universe will come to every single edition. I mean, hell, if you look at the most recent Minecraft Bedrock betas, they added these new All UI screens. This is for the recipe book and for the crafting table and for the inventory screens, but if we look at these three screens, you can see features that are coming to Minecraft Bedrock, but that we're pretty sure won't be coming to Java. And indeed, if you look at certain Java features and how its menu works, it's a version of the game that has some things that we suspect won't be coming to Bedrock for a very long time, if at all. This is the weird thing about Minecraft. Even when it's literally just called Minecraft, it doesn't guarantee all the features, and so if you are someone who holds out their head and is waiting for this fourth dimension reveal because you know it will be for the base game, then there is only a tiny bit of news and it relates specifically to Bedrock, but otherwise I hate to tell you that my big theory, or my understanding based on everything we've seen, is that like Major 112 put, the Ancient City portal was just an ad for Dungeons 2. Minecraft hired a bunch of new social media people in the last few years, and they've done a really good job at connecting with what Minecraft players actually seem to want, and one of the ways they've done that is to work out that yes, you'll be more interested in Dungeons 2 if they tie it into your love for the base game, because if they don't, they'll get another Minecraft Legends, and do we really need another Minecraft Legends? But speaking of Minecraft Legends, I saw this comment from an absolute legend. Progetto Farao has saying they've been really loving the long video format, keep it up Toycat, and I just wanted to share that the AI responses that for some reason Google assumes that we're going to use, they both say that yes, actually more long videos are coming, and so I guess I have no choice to say that, oh yeah, there'll be more long videos, when really there should be an AI response that's like, no, actually, the long videos are terrible, you shouldn't be rewarding me for them, they're an awful form of content, and you know what? The only form of content more awful is this comment. I'm just kidding. I want to rip on their typos here, but we'll just ignore them for the sake of saying, as for the dimension rumor, it might also have to do with the fact that in Bedrock add-ons, wow, look, I'm making verbal typos. I guess I can't complain. But custom dimensions are in beta. That doesn't mean that a new dimension is coming, but it does usually take 2 or 3 update cycles until new components are used. So this is the one thing that can keep your hopes alive if you believe that new dimensions are coming to the game, because as it so happens, Minecraft Bedrock, which is often the testing ground for components like flying mobs, is literally adding custom dimensions right now. I believe that the update coming out on Tuesday, by the way, the Chaos Cubed update's coming out on Tuesday. I can't believe how little hype drops get because of the fact that I guess there's 4 of them a year and the update cycle is kind of confusing, but there is literally an update coming out in a few days now, and interestingly, that update we are expecting will include custom dimensions. They will leave experimental, which means that add-ons can use them, that means that anyone can choose to use them. This is going to be a huge change for, again, creators mostly, but that does usually tend to follow with Mojang themselves taking advantage. So how will Mojang use custom dimensions if not to add whatever is inside this portal? Man, look at it. You can see there's like white in there. It kind of looks like an alley texture. It's in an alley dimension, but everyone's evil. I mean, we've seen Blub, but okay, leaving my theorizing till later in the video. I think that ultimately you can say that, yeah, this is a good theory as to why there could be a 4th dimension, but even then, if you want to hold out hope, one, at least be the reasonable skeptic. The number of people I ran into who had staked their entire days, the quality of it on whether or not this would happen, a little bit too high if you ask me. Life pro tip, keep your expectations tiny and you probably won't be whiny. But the other important thing here is the fact that, yeah, Minecraft could just do what they did with the mace and make something that has the same name but is entirely different. In the same way that when you go to the end, you don't get the end from Minecraft Dungeons, and when you go to the Nether, you don't get the Nether from Minecraft Dungeons, or indeed all of the other weird examples of things that are in Dungeons but not the base game. And so as a result, that's something important you need to know. But something else that's important you'll need to know is that many people who are looking to play Minecraft Dungeons 2 are looking to do it on a Switch 2, and so you might be excited about the recently announced changes happening over there. And so I'd like to respond to this comment from Carnage Superior, who says that they think the Switch 2 is decently stronger and has more modern processors and deficiencies. A deficiency is a bad thing, but compared to the Xbox One, an Xbox One runs a render distance of 18, which means, and 16 under vibrant visuals, which means we should have at least that much for the Switch 2. But I will say here that the Xbox One is a primarily or exclusively docked video game console. You can only run it connected to a TV and connected to a hard power supply, but the Switch 2 has to be capable of running on the fly. Now, interestingly, Minecraft Switch Edition had different render distances based on whether you were docked or undocked, so the technology exists, at least it used to exist, but interestingly, Minecraft Bedrock doesn't want to deal with this. This is one of the ways which I would say the Bedrock ports are lazier than they need to be. Rather than taking advantage of all of the different technologies, for example, the touchscreen on the controller of the PlayStation 5, or indeed the mouse controls that exist in Switch 2, it seems as though rather than using full advantage of that, they're mostly kind of more impressed with getting their stuff out the door. So I would expect that you will see a Switch 2 with a lower render distance than an Xbox One S, because your Switch 2 has to keep in mind that it might eventually be running on an undocked version. So they're basically comparing a plugged-in Xbox to what is going to be sometimes a portable console. It's a powerful portable console, but not as powerful as we might love. But it's still great that vibrant visuals will run. And just in case you're curious about this one, because I am surprised how many people who play Switch 2 are in my audience. There's this weird thing where there's been a bunch of people who come back to those Switch 2 videos. So to anyone who's joined the channel because of the Switch 2 situation, first of all, awesome to see you here. I'm excited for Switch 2 Minecraft 2, and I do believe that it is a little concerning when we saw that line in the Minecraft announcement. I kind of reacted to it at the end of my last Switch 2 video about like, whoa, what's the... they literally said in there like, oh yeah, we'll have more to share soon on release timing and pricing, which it's weird to say you'd have more to share soon on pricing if you weren't going to be charging, but I do believe, based on what I've spoken to and heard from people who are big into the Nintendo Switches, that it's likely that because they're not calling it Switch 2 Edition or Switch 2 version, that it will be a free upgrade for Switch 1 users, and maybe the pricing announcement is that it will cost more, like maybe they will have to charge as if it is a brand new game, but it will be more expensive than the Switch 1 if you don't already own the Switch 1 version. So that is what I'm kind of hoping for, but just something to keep in mind. But no matter what version of Minecraft you're playing on your Switch, you will be able to run whatever fourth dimension does come, and so now that we've gone all of the caveats out of the way, what exactly do I think is going to happen on the other side of this portal? Well, I actually kind of think that because you can see they're hyping up going into the Deep Dark as if it is the next step up from going into the end portal, because it is, then obviously on the other side of the portal, it's not just going to be more sculpt, it's going to be something that is entirely new and never seen before.
But the most important thing to keep in mind is that whatever they do of this fourth dimension, I think the most likely thing is that they're building it around the Twisted Warden, but they can build it around the Twisted Warden as he exists in Dungeons 2. They can build the entire dimension as it needs to be to make the most interesting gameplay, and so what I would say is most likely in terms of aesthetics is that we know they're building up the Twisted Warden to be all about his soul's attacks. He absorbs souls, he spits them out as fire, and soul fire is something that already exists in Minecraft. There is a Soul Sand Valley biome, a place where there is blue fire all the time. So what if there is something that looks like this? What if there is something that has a lot of blue fire inside of it? They can build this dimension entirely around this mob, entirely around this big dramatic boss fight, which, if we're being real, they've announced 2 DLCs, so probably isn't going to be finished by the end of the base game. There was a bit of a problem with Dungeons 1 where you defeat the Arch-Illager at the end of the game, but then they have to be like, oh yeah, and we're doing DLC to get it. So what is going to be inside this portal, I think it's exclusively going to be... Hi. Just talking about Minecraft. What do you think is going to be in the fourth dimension?
The wool farm.
So, the interesting thing, though, is... good theory. The interesting thing to keep in mind is that you need to keep in mind that Minecraft is always able to basically keep dungeons as a siloed part of the game. In the same way that there are a bunch of things in Legends that they said like, well, it's just a story, who's to say how this really impacts the game? I think that Minecraft Dungeons 2 is going to just build whatever they think is best for that game, because rather than creating the Dungeons 1 scenario where the Arch-Illager is killed, but then they have to bring him back for the DLC, I think instead they're going to have some form of Twisted Warden showdown, but instead they're building out the DLC part of the game. They know the game will have DLC, they've already announced 2, and again, unless it's a dramatic failure, there will be more, and so I think that the key lesson that I would take away from this video, if you want to know what's inside the fourth dimension, is 1, Minecraft isn't going to reveal it until the game's out. They want to build the maximal hype for that, but also keep in mind that just like how they did the mace and the spear where these are weapons they built with Minecraft Dungeons uses first. We always have known that Minecraft has a plan for at least the next 4 years of updates, so the mace at the very least, and probably the spear, were known about as being in the ideas library for Minecraft, but yet how they exist in Dungeons is unconnected entirely to how they exist in the base game. There's no speed or height or anything base mechanic like that. They're just weapons. Fun weapons, but still they're just weapons. And in the same way, when Minecraft Dungeons adds enchantments that already exist in Minecraft, they don't feel the need to make them exactly the same. And so whatever happens of this fourth dimension, I would keep in mind that basically, because they've got this Warden plotline and the Souls plotline, they can just say that, like, yeah, whatever it is, it's actually just a corrupted version of whatever they want to show later. And so the connection to the base game can be basically none if they want it to be. Hi. The connection to base Minecraft can be basically nothing. He was running. I decided not to ask him about the fourth dimension. The connection to base Minecraft can be borderline nothing if they want it to be, because that's what they did with the weapons. And if we take the end update as an example, we have Jeb on word as saying, like, yeah, he kind of thinks the barren feel of the end should be kept, but that's not what Dungeons did, because Dungeons doesn't need to do what Minecraft certainly will do. And by the way, it's so ridiculously hot. I'm in Florida right now on the way to South America. Just a day stop over here, and I can deal with 28 degrees. It's almost nice sometimes, but 28 degrees and you're this close to water and there's this much of it, which some of you might like, I guess, and just the air becomes so wet and you just feel like you're sweating all the time. It's terrible. But you know what else is terrible? People who are buying into Mojang's marketing strategy, which is to say, ooh, you want to know what's in this new dimension in Minecraft? Guess you'll have to buy a new game to find out. Play Dungeons if you're excited for Dungeons. There's a big boss. There's a lot of new weapons. They're doing fun things here. But what I will say is that if you are going to play Minecraft Dungeons, then you should just know that it's a separate game that shares characteristics. But when we find out what's in that portal, which I almost certainly think we'll be doing September 29th, 2026, it doesn't mean it's going to be in the base game, unless they've been secretly working on a fourth dimension update that's coming out alongside this drop, then we know for a fact that that's not going to be in there. Anyway, with that said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great Saturday, except it's a Friday. Q&A Friday, isn't that fun? And I'll see you in the next one. It's proof the guy's running, in case you need it. Didn't realize how well you could hear people through the bushes. It's been multiple people just hearing Minecraft Dungeons news as they're going through. And if you enjoyed that, then I think this video is worth a like. Or even a subscribe. Or even consider becoming a channel member so you can check out the latest and greatest members-only Let's Plays, including one that will probably be up tomorrow if this is Q&A Friday. There's a couple of videos for this weekend that needed a bit more polish and attention, and so instead you can just look at my face. I am excited for Dungeons 2, but I really think, if I can reiterate my point one last time, just keep your expectations small in terms of what will connect to the base game, because it's probably not going to be that we're getting the fourth dimension reveal for the base game, is where I've kind of concluded. But if you want to hype yourself up, I won't stop you. Well, I'll try, but I can't. I can't stop you doing anything. I can't stop you throwing my phone right now. No, give it back. Give it back. No. Okay. See ya. Bye. Realize, again, more people are going to hear that. So definitely consider subscribing. Cool little place. I was going to do this video from the middle of the world, but I couldn't do it because I wanted to get this out today, and I won't be at the middle of the world until tomorrow. Sad.